second part of our Tamil Nadu and Kerala journey took us from Pondicherry to the Kerala border. We left Pondicherry at the height of the school run. Further down the coast is Silver Beach, where we had a look at the fishing boats. We had a quick stop at the nearby Padaliswara temple before driving on through rice paddies. Rice doesn't have a season and can be planted and harvested at the same time of year. The route continued through agricultural areas. Eventually we came to Madurai, a town on an island connected to either side of the river by two bridges, which double up as dams to control the flow of the river. The road over the bridge is very narrow and can only handle alternate one-way traffic. Next we came to the Vatiswara temple, a World Heritage Site. Dedicated to Shiva, it was built during the 12th century. Once inside the entrance we saw the eastern wing, which is shaped like a chariot, decorated with stone horses and wheels. Today there was a school visit, with all the children anxious to be photographed. Even the teachers were lining them up for a picture with Western tourists. The hall at the southern end has 48 intricately carved stone pillars. Two statues flank the doors to Shiva's sanctum. Outside the complex, goats were tidying up from the children's picnic by eating their banana leaf plates. We motored on to Thanjavur and the beautiful Svatma Hotel, which was built as a family residence over 100 years ago. Set in landscape gardens, it's been lovingly converted to provide a 38-room hotel. One of its more unusual features is the sun loungers, whose feet are in the swimming pool. From the roof terrace there are views across Thanjavur. In the centre of Thanjavur is the Brihadiswara temple. The entire temple is built of solid granite, protected with plaster. We had to take our shoes off here. The inner sanctum is unusually high at 65 metres. Visiting pilgrims wear red, and I'm not sure whether this group was growing as we filmed, or people were running round the back to be on twice. The sacred bull, or Nandi, is regularly anointed with milk, which accounts for its colour and texture. As the pilgrims enter the temple, they pass the priest and a statue of Ganesh. The faithful put 3 lines of ash on their foreheads, the bottom to Brahma, the middle to Vishnu, and the top to Shiva. The red dot represents energy. We made our way back to the entrance to reclaim our shoes. The next stop was the Thanjavur Palace complex. Within the palace is the magnificent art gallery. It contains temple bronzes from the Chola period of the 10th to 13th centuries. Following the Mughal invasion of the 14th century, many bronzes were stolen from the temples, so the rest were buried in surrounding villages. These are still being rediscovered to this day. Close to the palace was a small workshop. In the front, an artist was doing very delicate work on a picture of Ganesh. Behind was a foundry making bronzes by the lost wax process. This mixture of wax and resin is softened and modelled like plasticine. In this case, the craftsman was making the hand of Shiva. First he moulded the palm and fashioned a thumb. Then he cut rods of wax to make individual fingers. The first finger he shaped to meet the thumb. When he'd added all the fingers, he smoothed over the joints with a piece of hot metal. Once an entire statue has been made in this way, it's enclosed in clay. This is then allowed to dry. Next it's put into this stove to melt the wax, which is poured out. A mixture of copper, zinc, tin, silver and gold is placed in a crucible and heated to over 1200 degrees C and poured into the mould. After cooling, the mould is broken open to reveal the bronze sculpture.
Very beautiful, huh?
This is then smoothed by hand and then the final details added. The fact that the original wax model has been melted means that every piece is unique. Leaving Thanjavur, we drove through farmland until we came to the Thirumayan fort, which was built in 1687. It originally had 7 concentric walls, but now only 4 remain. There are no buildings inside the walls, just a bare rock floor and big boulders. On the highest point is a bastion, with an old British cannon on top. On the way back down, we saw a ladder leading to a hole in the rock. A flight of steps goes down to the bottom of the ladder, and Ashok climbed up to investigate. Inside is a linga representing the god Shiva. Then we had to go up, to go down, to go out. We drove another 5 kilometres to the village of Kadyapati. We saw the sign for the hotel, but when Ashok turned down this narrow lane, we wondered where on earth we were going. We stopped outside a magnificent building. This was it. Built in the late 19th century, Chidambara Villas is a mansion that's been converted into a luxury heritage resort. Originally it was the home of a rich merchant and his extended family. The hotel's 25 bedrooms are in a new wing set around a courtyard and swimming pool. A series of steps and spiral staircases lead up to the roof, with views over this striking mansion. A total of 26 people lived here in their own apartments. Beyond are more buildings yet to be renovated. A drive out from the village into the backcountry took us to the Ayanar temple. The ceremonial approach is lined with terracotta horses in varying states of decay. Ayanar is one of the guardian folk deities of Tamil Nadu. The deity himself is depicted with a very large horse alongside elephants, and there's no temple building. A family of monkeys lives in the woods amongst the relics. On our way again, we stopped at the small town of Pilyapati. Here, at the side of a tank, a man-made ceremonial bathing pool, is a beautiful little temple dedicated to Ganesh. After another 70 kilometres, we came to the Taj Gateway Hotel just outside Madurai. The main house was once the residence of the manager of Coats India, part of the British Coats Cotton Group. The hotel is set on a hill in 62 acres of landscape gardens. Near to the swimming pool was our cottage. From the garden in front of the cottage were superb views over the town of Madurai and the vast Meenakshi temple, the highlight of the city. Later in the day we visited a site where clay was excavated to build the royal palace. Now it's a tank, but it only contains water in the wet season. The sides of the tank are the only area of flat land long enough for silk producers to dry the thread after dyeing. It's stretched out on racks, and any shorter fibres are removed by hand. Colourful markets line the pedestrianised streets around the Meenakshi temple. Its 9 temple towers soar to almost 50 metres above the gateways. These are decorated with colourful stucco images of gods, goddesses and animals. According to legend, Meenakshi, patron of Madurai, had 3 breasts, but one of them disappeared when she married Shiva. Cameras are not permitted inside the temple.
भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्.
Leaving Madurai, we motored across the western plains of Tamil Nadu. Here we saw a brickworks, where clay is moulded into bricks which are dried in the sun before firing in a thatched roofed kiln. Ladies' fingers or okra was being harvested in this field, and in the next one they were growing cotton. Further on was a sugarcane plantation. Auto rickshaws are the workhorses of suburban India, being used as trucks and taxis. We had to stop at a checkpoint before heading into the mountains. At the top of the pass is the border with Kerala, and this is where we left Tamil Nadu.